we got this.
Welcome. You made it.
Hello. Yes. Sorry,
Great.
I was having a bit of technical difficulties there. Can you hear me okay?
I can actually. It's
Perfect.
perfect.
Brilliant.
Amazing. So tell us about you, and thank you everyone
Okay.
for coming back in with our technical difficulties.
Sorry about that, guys.
No, that's absolutely. Thank you again. Tell me all about yourself.
Yeah, okay, great. So I actually live in Singapore. I have been here now, oh Lord, about 10 years.
Wow.
Originally from the UK. And I was very fortunate early in my career to be able to travel. So I started in England, moved to Ireland, lived in Dublin for a few years, then lived in Australia, and then more recently in Singapore. So I've spent that whole time working in B2B sales, marketing, business development, and really helping businesses grow kind of strategy, new market plans across different areas, always with the same kind of sales focus and
Okay.
always within kind of the digital sphere as well. So 15 years total doing that. And
Okay.
then last year I took some time and really focused on a project that I'd been working on for a few years. So about 5 years ago, I got quite unwell and just decided it was time to kind of reassess my life. Did I like the corporate rat trap and everything that goes with it? What did I want for long term? So I started doing research. I started self-education, loads of projects, different things that I could really upskill myself in other areas. And then last year I launched the Social Connective, which is a training and coaching consultancy that helps people develop their innate ability to connect,
Okay.
build deeper relationships, authenticity, and ultimately have success. And it can work in your professional or your personal life, because I think, as we all know, the root of anything that is strong and successful is connection. The way that you're able to engage with someone allows you to get that extra success. And we see a lot of very famous people having these skills and this ability, not really any different to the rest of us. They might have people around them, but the core is that they are very good with their power skills, so their soft skills, or as we term them, power skills, and they just know how to utilize those. So everything from communication, effective communication, problem solving, presentation, how can they hold themselves, all of these things that are innately within all of us. Everyone from the most extrovert people, and I've seen some very extrovert salespeople in my time, to the most introvert. And to be honest, the most introvert are often the best when it comes to sales negotiations and really getting the things done.
Because they're a lot more authentic when they're coming at it too. So
exactly.
I find people are a little less averse to being sold to by someone who is a little more raw about it.
Correct. And that's exactly kind of how we look at it. So it is having that authenticity and being able to show your true self. And I think when people think of a salesperson, or people think of successful people, they do think that they're out there, they don't mind putting themselves on camera, on stages. There are a lot of people that I've spoken to through the years still get the fears. They still go, oh my God, I'm nervous, this is going to be really embarrassing. But being able to work with them and help them through that, and just almost give that little confidence, or just say, you have it already, you know your stuff. And that's the main thing. These people are experts in all different areas, whether it's analysts or the marketing person. They all know what their specialty is, and then just being able to tell that story. So how can you, if you're in a meeting, say it to 5-10 people? If you are on stage, there's a little bit more prep, but how can you then build that up within them? And then if you're just in a meeting one-on-one, how can you feel confident to ask for the money? How can you feel confident to ask the difficult questions? And all of these things build out into what we've positioned as power skills and the sales skills, but really enable people to being much more authentic, much more relatable, and building really deep connections and relationships.
I find there's two main pieces when it comes to sales strategy that I've found in my own business. The main thing is starting the introduction, and the second thing is closing.
Yes.
And the closing is always the hardest part for anyone, because it requires a level of perseverance that we aren't trained to handle.
Exactly. So, and this is a thing So there are obviously multiple steps in a sales process that you would go through. But one of the biggest things that I've always taught people is that you need to kind of take that step back. A lot of people are in it. They really get that fire burning within them. They want to close a sale. For some, it's, you know, to put food on the table. For other, it's just that killer instinct. But you kind of need to take that step back and look at it and make sure you are getting things, what we would say is qualified. Make sure things are getting answered, almost like a checklist.
Okay.
Because then that enables you, and as you're going through that like internal checklist, and we have processes how to do that, is you're kind of getting them to answer their own questions. So you're providing the value. The main thing is you're answering their need, right? They've identified their need, but you're getting them to answer it. So in everything you ask, almost the element of psychology to it, they are saying yes. They're saying, oh, I need this. And you go, okay, well, we have that. We can help you with that. And that then comes with the authenticity, because you're not pushing product at them. You're not just pushing something that you have. And in a sales meeting, you're giving them something, they're realizing they need something, and you're saying, okay, well, this is where we may be able to help you. And then when you take that through to the closing element, you've already got them kind of answering all of the things you want. So you've got that tick box or checkbox list going, and then it just comes to asking those difficult questions. So very simple ones would be, you know, is this something that you're going to need? You know, have I answered all your questions? And because it's been yes, yes, yes so far, generally they will say yes. And go, okay, what do we need to do to be able to get this in place for you? Everything needs to be as if you are sitting with them, holding their hand. Although you may be on the opposite side of the table, on a phone, on a video call, you're there with them in it, right? You're in it together, because they then feel that, you know, you're not trying to sell at them. You're doing it in their best interest. Now, everybody, no matter what job you're doing, is doing sales, right? You can be in photography, you can be in
a restaurant or
exactly
musician, whatever it is.
Absolutely anything. So professionally, but also like personally as well. Like you have to sell when you're, you know, trying to persuade your husband or wife to do something that's a bit different, or get your kids to do something. Exactly. Like take the rubbish out. Like, go on, it's your turn. The way in which you can do that, there's just certain neurolinguistics to help you be able to get the things, you know, and it's not manipulation, because you're doing it in a way that is genuine and authentic. You are there to help
I think
them.
It's also understanding the psychology of how we function, and being aware doesn't mean that you are then manipulative. It means that you are aware and you're solving a problem. And at the end of the day, if you have value and you're giving people value, they will see that through the process.
Yeah, and I think one thing, so actually that just raises something quite interesting. So you just mentioned that kind of awareness, and I think conscious listening is a skill in itself, right? So being able to not just listen and talk, where as a good salesperson or as a good business person in general, it's 80% listening. You are there listening to everything that they're saying to you. You're not trying to get your pitch across or your product, or, you know, you've got your target in a week's time. Doesn't matter. You will get much more respect, much better relationships if you are there with them and for them. And they then believe that you're not just trying to push something on them. And all the success I've seen from sales teams that I've had throughout the years in corporate to now seeing salespeople, they've seen a significant difference. They've seen how by just turning that mentality of, you know, they still got their targets, they still get their stresses and all these things, but it does help them just turn the conversation, and that person doesn't feel the pressure that, you know, they have to do it. Yes, obviously you do want to
you want to close them, but you want to give them a window. I find like nowadays in the way sales is done, it's changed over the years, where it's actually more of a value up front model, where you give something for free, or something that they then look at with so much like value according to it, they put their own price tag to it, and then you close them.
100%. So we would call that the kind of model of reciprocity. So when somebody gets something, they feel that almost obliged to kind of listen, obviously if it gives value, and it works a lot in social selling. So we do kind of the full suite of sales training, and social selling is kind of the new approach. So it's very much content related. It's looking at you as an authority, how you are sharing, like you said, giving something of value with nothing expected in return. So you were just saying, hi Katrina, this is going to be something for you. I think you might like it. Like, that's it. And I share it a few times. Links that I find, articles, a blog or a post that a podcast that you might be interested in. And you then would see, okay, this person who's giving me something, they're not asking me for anything. But when you may need those services, that person is top of mind.
So it's like a recommendation program. Like back in the day, we would refer a friend or recommend something of value because we experienced it. And now with social media, with everything, by allowing them to experience your services and what that would entail, it then gives them a comfort level to be able to pull out their credit card or commit to you long term. It's basically like dating.
Yeah, pretty much. Before you get to the marriage stage,
let's keep it like
the courting and dating. So I think having that really helps, and it builds your credibility. And the main thing that you want to do in anything is that relationship, authenticity, and connection. And the thing that we say in anyone that we talk to is having connection is key. Human connection, in majority of my experience from the last 15 years, has been in B2B. So that is me going in and talking to CEOs, marketing directors, head of the HR departments, if it's an education program, depending on the particular contract I've had at the time or the business I'm in. But seeing them, a lot of people have always said to me, are you not worried? Are you not scared? I'm like, why? These are the root of it. They are just people, right? Yeah. Like, we are all people. They have their expertise. I have mine. And I think a lot of people can get fearful in any communication, putting themselves out there, that, why is their thought worthy? Why is it what they know is worthy? But, when they're down doing their job and they're getting paid for it, they're getting the bonuses, they're the experts, they know what they're doing. And then being able to, it is a gap to then be able to take that and say, okay, I want to be the authority, I want to be able to speak out more and build your presence. But it's where the industry is going. We are moving, as we've all seen with everyone now working from home, to a different time. We've kind of been catapulted in it because of what's gone on. So it's now the information age that we've just, fully thrown into. So
it accelerated the process. This pandemic 100%. Has completely accelerated our content creation machine, basically.
Absolutely. And there are businesses that I know out here in Singapore, across Asia, and even back home in the UK and in the US, where people are, taking things that they've done. So a friend of mine here has a gymnasium for kids. So they've obviously had to shut down with restrictions we've had here. We've put everything all online. So Active for kids. And the same, my brother does a football academy. So they've done things for kids. So everyone's shifting those online. But the thing is, they're still having to give those little hooks and those freebies or something for free just to show there is value. Like, why are we going to go with those two, as the examples I gave, out of the hundreds and thousands that are out there? Because everybody is now in the same position.
And so everyone's basically selling you something in a content space. Yeah. So it's communicating your value. I think a lot of business owners have a hard time with, because they also see themselves as slightly like imposters, because it's hard in our current society to really look at yourself like an expert. Yeah. But then realizing that you really only need to be one step ahead in order to teach someone something.
Exactly. And that's what I help people with. So taking them through and feeling their own kind of sense of genius, their own capability. And, some people may not want to take it, online and have those programs. They might still be, very good, well, not very good, have their job fine and safe.
Or comfortable. I think comfort is that sticky moment where you're like, but you could do better.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's the two, and this is what we talk about when we do the coaching with them. So it's those that are comfortable, and you push them, right? You give them that little thing of, what would you want more? What more can you do? Especially when you see that potential, because for us, it's bringing out and drawing out that innate potential in people. But for those, there are many people I know, analysts that I've had in my teams before, that are absolutely fearful, but there are ways in which, and the main thing is, how can you position it right? So it's not going to be the same cookie cutter for everyone. It's not just create a course and put it online, but what can you do that can future-proof yourself? What can you do that can give you that edge in a very saturated now digital place, because of where we're all at, but also even in the work field where we're at in the the work force that we're in now. The future of work is changing. It is going to online. People are doing their trainings online. People are changing what they're learning. So power skills is coming up a lot more. So these very technical, smart people are having to learn, and HR directors see it as one of the top things that they are missing in their employees. They want people to be better presenters, better team players. So they're not just sitting down doing their analytics or, you know, whatever it may be that they're doing. And if we help them either in a corporate or an individual setting, we're starting to get more people come out because of everything that's happening, help them just, you know, feel their sense of genius, feel what it is that they would want to go to, where do they want to get to in 1, 2, 3, 5 years, and then help them kind of map that out with different skills that they can be learning. So that's kind of the area around what we're doing and how we're kind of approaching it, and almost not changing it, but working with the environment we're in. Because traditionally, I had to change as well. We were doing face-to-face trainings. Obviously, that's just not possible now.
No.
So
yeah, that was my next question. I was wondering if all of your program, do you do it in person and then take them online through the process, or have you now built your own online process?
Okay, so the online process has been there the whole time.
Okay.
It was, to be honest, a less of a focus for me just because of my background. And this has been a great learning also in me kind of going out of my comfort zone, right? So to me, the face-to-face, being able to meet people, secure a business deal over a table, over a few meetings, whatever it may be, comes much more naturally to me. The whole digital marketing thing, when I first started doing was, fearful. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to put all of this into you know, funnels and email drip programs, all of these things. So
automations are the bane of my existence.
I definitely feel you. Because to me what I was very worried about is losing that authenticity, losing that connection and that real human interaction of, I don't want anybody that gets this to just feel like it's come out from my platform, right? Yeah. So I have to really think about how I want that to come across. So I still do quite a bit with calls. So it's really, you know, have a few of those nurturing emails, but then I want people to talk to me because that helps me assess much better what it is they're needing. And our coaching is very much tailored to the individual as well. Training programs can be more when they're corporate because they're looking at, you know, tens, hundreds, thousands of people, it depends. And they can be online in Asia. And it'd be interesting actually to get your perspective. Out here, they're very much still resistant to online. And I think this whole thing has really seen them like catapulted into it. Like there is now the need. It's not just like to have, you have to do it this way. So that's seeing like quite a big shift.
With anything, when you have a need, it drives you forward rather than a want, because those never get done.
Yeah. So we're seeing, I mean, these things are now essential. So the virtual trainings are definitely picking up much more. And what we're looking at, or a program that I'm working on with a partner, is a kind of ongoing coaching for businesses that, and I hate using the word pivot because it's now overused by everyone, but you know,
how can people, phrase of the year.
How can people kind of optimize what they're doing right now? How can they strive? Because there are businesses right now that are really scared, like they don't know where their next, you know,
there's businesses that have been around and done everything right to this point, and yet their business and their livelihood is threatened.
Yeah. And they could never have foreseen it, right? That's what we're seeing. And then there are those kind of in the middle ground. They're doing okay. They're ticking along.
They're surviving.
But they're surviving. Yeah, they're not going to be buying, you know, loads of new premises or getting new people, but they're okay. And then there are those, you know, the niche industries right now that are really thriving just because of the pandemic. But then that's not going to last forever.
It's not sustainable, so they can't build a model around it.
Exactly. And they're super busy as well, especially for the small businesses. So how do we work with them to really help them look at longevity? So kind of long-term business planning of what after. So you see a lot of businesses now. I saw an article yesterday, GM have got 600 ventilators I think they're planning to make each month, which is brilliant. Like
that's a pivot, but in a good way.
Exactly. So and they've got, you know, much bigger scale. It's probably a lot easier to be able to get these things stood up quite quickly, but nothing is impossible. like, how do we work with the smaller businesses? They may do it to a smaller scale, but the main thing that you always need to get is mindset. Like, how can you learn a slightly different skill? How can you look at what you have now and take it into a slightly different direction? Maybe still keep your core, but prepare yourself for something so that if, God forbid, anything like this ever happens again, you've got something else.
You have to future-proof. At any point, you're always future-proofing your business, right? You have to always take a moment when you're building and in that build phase, when you're scaling, to understand that at any point, if that percentage change happens on the flip side, that you're aware and can handle it.
Exactly. And then you can just pop in another layer.
Yeah.
And something to focus on. So I think that's a really good thing we do. And when we're working with these clients, like I said, we take them through almost like a process. So it's very informative. I ask a lot of questions on, what is it you're trying to achieve? What are your goals? What are your pain points? Where do you think the gaps are? And that's the same for individuals or businesses of any size, because when people start thinking about it and they'll say, oh, I don't know, or I think it's just this. But when we really get beneath the surface, it turns out it's very different. And there have been more times than I can count that has happened. And being able to really help them identify it gives them kind of that eureka moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can work together. And I've done coaching where I work with them on it, but also, as a consultant for many years, if they're those businesses that are very busy or really have no idea, then I can actually do it for them. I do prefer coaching because, as a coach, I get more satisfaction because I'm helping them. I'm kind of holding their hand. And one of the things one of my mentors many years ago said was, if you really want to have success and you want to have your clients have success, you've got to help them feel that they are being, looked after.
Mm-hmm.
You're not just trying to sell at them. You are sitting on the same side of the bench. You are there guiding them and holding
You're getting
them
knee deep into it. At the end of the day, if you're not investing yourself into the business, then you won't be able to get the success that you want out of the business for the case study or for the experience. And when someone knows that you're going to get into the mud with them, they respect you more and then value you more 100%. In the long run.
Exactly. And it then boils back to having that, relationship where you can then look at things like testimonials or referrals, and really then just grows your ability to be able to go out as the authority. So you don't just have to sit and write blogs all the time, but what you're doing, you're leading by example, right? So people then trust you. They say, yes, I want to advocate for this person. They speak to their network, and you get that nice ripple effect in any business, and anybody that's on this.
You also build trust.
So, exactly. So trust at that very core is crucial. And if you don't have that, you're just another salesperson that is trying to just push something. And that is never great. If anything, it's my absolute pet hate. And it's one of the first things that we start on with training, of getting them to pitch how they would pitch their business. So a quick elevator pitch. And then by seeing people at the beginning to the very end, seeing that transformation of how they go from, oh, I've got this product, I've got this. And you're like, okay, great. Did you actually listen to anything that we said or what we needed or what we wanted? And a lot of people, no matter what they've read or seen, still have I need to get my stuff across.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not. It is, how can you know your stuff, right? We are all experts in what we do individually. So how do I listen to what they need? Where are their pain points? What are all these things? And there are kind of guiding questions, and you learn them over time to kind of pick away at or like get that information out of them. And then when you get that, you can almost shape your approach and your response to them. Mm-hmm. So it's very kind of real time. You don't have like a set script. I hate scripts.
Scripts drive me nuts. I had a few like first starting out salespeople come in and ask for a script. The interns especially ask for a script. And that usually sends me into a tizzy where I'm like, no, that script is unacceptable. You need to create your own authentic dialogue from what they're saying. If I give you a script, you're not going to hear what their pain point is. You're not going to hear how you can actually solve the problem.
Exactly. I mean, there are key things or buckets.
There's a structural element, but
exactly. But scripts, absolutely not. And then at the end, we then go through kind of how would you now position it, and seeing that transformation, because that is crucial when you're looking at any training or coaching. It's not just I'm telling you this stuff. It's what have you taken from it? How has it transformed your approach, your thinking, your mindset, your skill set? And that's what really kind of makes me excited about what we're doing and how we're helping people, because they're bringing this out in them naturally, right? Like they're the ones that are doing it, they're pitching, they're taking it back into their business, and everything is then actionable. So it's not just, oh, I've sat in another training, because everyone can get bored to death of those. But I've done something that is going to have an impact on what I do. I'm going to see it. And then they feel excited.
And there's a tangible approach to it.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of how we approach it. Make sure that they have an action plan or a business plan that they can go back with, depending on what skills we are looking at. So if it's something like presentation skills, we're going to help them with kind of an architecture or a framework of what that would look like. And
the frameworks are really important, especially for larger companies or companies that need to template it. Where they have different teams coming in, and it kind of saves them from that process of the headache of retraining and figuring out what someone's strengths are. When you've already gone through it, you can be like, hi, here is the program, here is what you need to understand, and then we can communicate about it.
Exactly, yeah.
It's always
and I think that, definitely. So that's kind of the way that we look at it, to help people, I think. And I think for what I enjoy about it, when I've seen people do quite big things. So an example would be, I worked as a regional, so I covered the APAC region, looking after analytics and insights people. And I am by no means an analytics expert. I am one of those who's kind of secretly geeky and understand spreadsheets and love all of that. And I could set the methodologies, the structures, because I knew what the story needed to be when we told it to the head of marketing. And an example was for Lenovo, we were working with on regional programs to help them understand in the social space how people were talking about them. So perception studies. What is it people are saying about you that is going to help you brand your business, change your business? And what we actually learned was so much that they tweaked their marketing approach globally at a global level, because they would put themselves against one brand when actually they were compared a lot more against another brand. So they thought they were against HP, they were actually against Apple, which was fascinating for them.
Yeah.
But seeing this and seeing how my analysts were straight in the numbers, they were in all the data, and they got that. They were so smart. But when it came to articulating it, and if I put them in a room to help them and guide them and coach them through it, they'd have the fear. So I worked with them also in, what you're talking about. And there is what we call it, or in that space, is like unicorns that can understand the data and then tell that story. It is a very difficult skill. And I think that there is the same in any
skill set
industry.
Transitions so quickly in and out of a business. Like those are the people who end up going and creating their own or accelerating faster.
Exactly. And this is kind of core of what we see people looking for. So for so long in many markets, technical skills, and you're taking out the professions like doctors or lawyers or whatever, but data analysts is one of the biggest courses that is undertaken now. But these are the data analysts that I was working with, will often really be lacking, and it's horrible to say that term, but it is improvement needed that they know, and also HR directors and future hiring people look at and say, I want them to have that little bit more oomph for that kind of element of a unicorn. And they're not going to get it overnight. There are those introvert people that just like being behind the screen, right? You don't want to make them feel uncomfortable. But to your point earlier, you do need to slightly push beyond that comfort zone so that people can grow, right? People need to expand, and they can still be in business. But if you can help them feel that, yes, they understand that data, they understand insurance agents, we get it a lot with as well. So they just like doing all the numbers, speaking on the phone. But if they were in front of a client, what happens?
Like, how would they communicate to them?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, when you're especially insurance or anything like that, you want them to feel, this client to feel safe and cared for and structured.
Exactly.
And that someone can clearly communicate what is happening with their policy or whatever program they're going with.
Yeah, and it's not just off a spreadsheet or off of their policy, which you will often get. So having that, and we're seeing a lot of where the industry is going, or the future of work is going, which really is having this kind of 360. So you have your core technical ability and whatever skill that may be, but then you kind of wrapper it with these, different power skills. So anything from effective communication, problem solving is probably one of the biggest ones we get. How to be a better team player, how to manage your stress a bit better so it doesn't come across it in your meetings or in the work that you're doing. All of these things can actually help you be, more successful in the work that you're doing, be looked at for those promotions because you are that kind of person that differentiates, and being able to see people get that and see, oh wow, I'm smart, I know what I'm doing. And in all of our own ways, we're all smart, we've all got something to offer. So being able to help them optimize that and just slightly wrap it with different things still brings out your natural, so you're still authentic, but you're actually giving yourself a lot kind of more surface area to be seen and to be visible to those above,
your employers, or really whatever great. Structural exactly. System that's in place. It's actually intriguing to realize that a lot of what is holding back the workforce right now is communication, it's confidence, and it's an ability to not just see only your silo, but understand the bigger picture and where you fit within it and what more like value you can bring. I find a lot of the people we've been hiring, they come in with such a silo where they're like, this is my only area of expertise. I will keep growing in this silo, but I will not take my horse blinders off. How do you train people out of that function?
So it's very, as an employer, it's very frustrating, right? I think that's the easiest way to describe it. And I think the thing is that you work with people to say, yes, you have that. And in many ways, like when you're doing your core tasks, you kind of need to have a little bit of the blinkers on. You don't want to go down the rabbit holes and things that you're not expert in, right? Because that can happen. So what you need to do is kind of take a step back, and that ability to look more strategically is something that we also work with people on. So taking a look back and go, what does my value, what is it that I'm doing has an impact on business? And this can work for any level, from the interns that come in all the way through to your C-suite, because there are some that we've spoken to in the C-suite that still just think, I'm the CFO, that's all I need to worry about, numbers, or I'm the marketing director, and they maybe don't look after sales. And like, you do realize that marketing and sales is very closely related.
One cannot function without the other.
So I think the main way that we kind of coach them through that is to look at, or get them actually talking about and thinking about, what is the business achieving? What other areas do you have an impact in? So we kind of get them just to map it out and say, okay, if you are in the tech or IT department, what is it you do day to day that has an impact on the rest of the business? And they'll like think about it. Okay, if you weren't able to do it, or if you could do it better and more efficiently, how much would that add an impact? So are you going to reduce downtimes? Are you going to reduce the reach that you can get? Answering more requests? Various different things. So just getting them to look, like I said, at the bigger picture, more of the operational, strategic, high level, which people very rarely get, allows them to also think bigger, be more well-rounded, and like to feel that they're contributing more, right? A lot of people will just say, I'm in the job, I'm getting my paycheck. Why do I need to bother about anything else? So what we want to do
as an owner, that drives me insane.
But you want people to feel empowered, right? You're growing, and even the biggest businesses. So the Dells of this world, the Facebooks. I mean, Facebook and Google do it very well. They empower people to feel part of it, right?
You're part of the collective.
And they're a business. So having that as, you can be the person that connects other people. That's great. And that is, as a social connector, that's what I do. But also, how can I help people to do that? So connect your business, your expertise, your value to other parts of the business. And that then comes in innovation as well. So you're then looking at, this is what my job description in my little box says, but what if I did this? What if I did this? Now, obviously, don't go rogue and start doing a million things you're not meant to.
And doing a million things horribly.
Yeah, exactly. But if you know your strengths, and this comes back to looking at your strengths, your weaknesses, where are the opportunities, what are the threats? So if you can see those in any area of business you're in, or as an individual in what you're doing, if you're growing a startup, if you're growing your business, really nailing that and being able to see, okay, this is where I could maybe add value. And we're talking a bit about the B2B side. So if we're talking an employee within a business, if they do that, and say, for example, for yourself, if you had an employee that looks at it like that, and then they come to you and go, do you know what? I think this might really help you. You then go, oh my God, that's amazing. Like you may have thought of it already, but you then see that they're on the same wavelength as you. Like they're getting it, right? They're
and then you give them more responsibility in that function, or you give them more trust in more leadership.
Yeah. And another thing I told, it was actually the same mentor, was that you always want, you know, everyone always says you want to hire smarter people, but it went beyond that. And it was actually, you want the person or people that you hire to actually be able to replace you. So you want them to be thinking about these things, because if they can replace you, you can move on to a next venture. Or, you know, if you're able to retire, you can go and travel the world and do all the nice things as well. But if you've got people there that are, you know, getting it in the same way, you're almost everything that you're able to pass on has worked. And that doesn't just have to be business owners, that can be the employees as well, team managers, but right down to, you know, an early manager or even an intern. If you're able to share that knowledge, look at it, that will shape your whole career, that will shape your whole, you know, whatever it is that you're doing and how you perceive things. So it's really that perception, how can you bring value, and then also that above and beyond as well. And it doesn't always mean working, you know, 20 hours a day.
No.
Because it's all about working much smarter. If you're much more strategic, if you are much, you know, more structured with things, you can actually be a lot more efficient and you can get things done in lesser time. So being able to leave the day, you may not still have everything done, but you know what you're doing. You're not just
you have
going
a structured plan to output what you require, or what you've set for yourself, or management has set for you.
Exactly.
I find for us, our mandate has always been to hire capable people, because you can teach the rest.
Correct. Yep, absolutely. And I think that's one of the things we see. So we've seen a lot of people that have the capability. They kind of know what they're doing, and then you can draw the rest out of them. And it's like really bringing it. So for me to be able to see that, and you get them, their whole face just changes. They're able to go, oh yeah. And the reason they get that, oh yeah, is because I haven't told them anything they didn't know somewhere, or that they hadn't heard. Like it is something that they know. A lot of it, to be honest, is common sense, and it's just there.
It's problem solving. If your brain can problem solve, then you will do exceptionally at a lot of things.
Yeah. And being able, that is a very big skill that we work with people on, because there are different components to it, right? It's not just, oh, I have a problem, I'm able to solve it. It's like, what is the process you put in play? Like, how do you think about it? How do you break it down?
Yeah, what's your decision matrix?
Exactly. So that's the way that we really like to look at it, and help people help themselves. I think that's the best way that you can do it.
That's amazing. Tell me one quick success story that made you feel good about your program.
Okay, so we have a variety of programs. So we've got, I mentioned power skills. So we work really in those areas, power skills and sales skills.
Okay.
That's when we're looking at the training. And when I do coaching, I might pull pieces from both and really help people. It depends on what their needs are. I think one of the biggest successes has been, this was quite a few years ago, and it was before I really got into training and coaching, but it was when I was in corporate. And I was working in a sales role. I had a team, and there was somebody that was very close to quitting. They absolutely hated what we were doing. And I sat them down and said, what is it you're wanting to achieve? Where is it you're wanting this to go? And I knew they had the ability. I could see it, that potential in them, the way that they were articulating the value, they were listening, all these things. But there was something just not quite connecting for them. So we sat down, had a few kind of great, kind of deep, meaningful conversations in how we could help them get through it. They ended up becoming the #1 seller in the whole company, which to me was like amazing. Such satisfaction. I was like, okay, and it didn't bother me, you know, they'd surpassed me, the whole team. They were kind of the shining light in being able to bring something out in someone that they knew was there. They didn't know how to kind of uncover it. And for myself, being able to see that, you know, it was a pride. It was kind of like a mother hen pride that I was able to get.
There's
so
a badge of honor
really
with that. To
exactly,
be able to bring out the best in another human being, like that's what we should all be aspiring to do always, right? As people, to be responsible for making people's lives better, and then increasing their performance is phenomenal.
Yeah. And I think one thing to add, so we've spoken a lot on the kind of the employee-employer kind of approach when it's B2B, but I think a lot of it transfers very easily to individuals. So when you're looking at something, particularly in times like now, in what can you be doing with for this, a little bit of extra time, everybody's stressing, and it is now probably the better time than any to give yourself that extra value, give yourself that extra oomph and potential so that you stand out when you're, doing things. And I actually have a program on how to stay productive when working from home. And one of the elements we talk
That's
about,
so handy right now.
Yeah, and that's something that is there for people to be able to access. But when we're looking at adding value, it's really in that innovation I mentioned before. How can you think of things that you can add or do different? And if you're processed and you're structured, you will get things done. A lot of people will get distracted because they're working at home. It's a lot easier just to relax, watch the TV, go out for walks if you're allowed. But all of these, or the kids running around, whatever it might be. But if you can, do your things and be efficient, you're then the person that people are looking at, that you've got that structure, you've got self-management.
You'll also come out of this structure being far ahead of all of the other people who Netflix and chilled the entire time.
And there will be a lot of people doing that, unfortunately. And then, when you do get back in and you've got all of your things done, your projects done, you've looked at new ideas, how things, that's the way you're going to be able to, really step above the rest.
Absolutely. It's phenomenal to see how much of you give to your clients in this whole process, and how committed you are to all of them. What's one last thing that you want to tell everyone during this time of being stuck inside and not sure whether their business is going to be able to scale or go back to a sense of normalcy, or even to take things online? How do they assess whether they can take things online themselves too?
So I would say the main thing is to look at just a SWOT analysis. Now, that for anyone, immediately do that. So look at what your strengths are and really be critical, like really critique them. Go through your strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities and threats, whether it's in business or on your own. If you're thinking about starting a new venture, or if you have your own venture as well, what are those? That will then, as you go through that, and I'm happy for anybody on this to talk to me. I can send you a link so I can help you go through that.
I will send me the link, so then I will give them a swipe up option.
So I can give you kind of some tips on how to do that, because that's what I would do with people. Take them through that so that they are aware of kind of what their starting list is. And obviously there are many things in setting up a business, but in kind of knowing where to go. What are your ideas? What are you going to be able to do and really add the value to? And where do you need to outsource? Like for me, it's the automation and the emails and things. I gave up.
It's you and the entire world.
So being able to know where you do need to reach out and get help. There is no problem. People think it's a weakness. It is not. It is more of a weakness if you do not speak up. It is fine to be able to say, I need some help here. This is not my area of expertise. And then beyond that, being able to be comfortable in, trying different things, trying going out of that comfort zone, trying something that's a little bit out of the ordinary for you. So whether it's doing video, whether it's, if you've only ever done things by email, would it be different now for you if you spoke to people? Or when COVID is lifted, if you're able to network? These are all things that people are often fearful of because they've never done them. So try to figure out all those things. And it's kind of different to a SWOT, but what is your comfort zone? And then put all of the things almost in I can't remember what the name of the grid is, but your circle is your comfort zone. So all the things that you're okay with, and then the outer comfort zone, because that's then when you get to your learning zone and your growth zones. So how can you then say, okay, if I start doing a couple of these, over a couple of weeks, a couple of months, and then we take people through that over program, just doing one of it, you then realize, oh my God, I'm not dying. It's not that bad. Like these are things that I don't feel that bad. You might still feel nervous the first, second time, but you're actually realizing that it's something that will help you. You've built connections. Overall, you're building confidence. You're building that ability to tell your story and what it is that you can give value to. And across all of that, you're building connections. You are meeting people and getting yourself out there. So whether it's on LinkedIn, which is a brilliant platform to do it
It's great right now for lead maintenance, but to find your leads and cultivate them and then have them accelerate for you in the background, LinkedIn is fantastic.
Yeah, and being able to communicate. So if you're not yet at that place where you can, you know, just talk to people or, you know, you can get on a call with them, but connecting, writing comments on people's things that you see, that's really great. Sharing their stuff because they will see that. Being able to just be a part of a conversation. So if you can become part of a conversation, you're within that. It's the same as, you know, when you're at school, when we were at school. I'm probably a lot older than most people, but when you in the schoolyard, you would, you know, want to go in and be in kind of a group, right? Or if you, even if you're on your own, there is something that you want to be able to give and share. You can do that in LinkedIn. It is, you know, massive platform, invaluable right now for building those base connections and give value. Do not try and sell them. Absolute no. Do not say the amount I get from lead generation companies, insurance, finance brokers, we must all get.
No one gives you value up front. They just basically are selling you with a long paragraph that has no thought process to it. It's completely cold traffic.
Scripted.
Copy and paste function that you know they didn't write.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just saying, you know, we've got this great service, blah, blah, blah. And I've had people from my same industry, like education, saying, we've got these training programs. I'm like, did you even look at my profile? Did you look at what I'm doing? Clearly not.
Clearly, so you're selling me the same thing I'm selling. Like, what?
Exactly. So I think, you know, don't rush. I think take your time, because a lot of people panic and then you don't put your best self forward.
And build quality. So, build how you would want to be spoken to.
Yeah. So give them something that, you know, is a real conversation, or so if you are connecting with them, or if it's a response, it's not just thanks for sharing. You've actually maybe listened to it or read it, whatever, and you've kind of engaged and said, this really gives me some information and food for thought. Because then and you can do it. The great thing about LinkedIn, same as Twitter, you can do it with anybody.
Yes.
CEOs of companies, if there are companies that you aspire to be like, or people that you aspire to be like, start having those conversations with them. That will really help you in your own authority, and also in being part of what people are interested in and what people are wanting to be a part of in regards to conversation.
Yeah, when I started out, I loved just going to coffee with everyone that I could find in the network. I just wanted to go to coffee with them to learn more about what they were doing and then see how we could connect. But nothing was expected, and it always ended up successful.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? You're showing that genuine thing of, I just want to get to know you. I did that yesterday, actually, on Instagram. I reached out to someone, so it'd be great when this is all over to grab a coffee.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have a call. And just because we're all in lockdown, it doesn't mean that we can't do it. If anything, we can probably get greater reach and like a lot more done.
People's the eyeballs you can find online right now is like crazy. It's beautiful, but with great power comes great responsibility.
Indeed,
to be authentic and share value, because everyone in their shoe is communicating with people right now.
Exactly. So how are you going to stand out and be different?
Virtual coffees do work. People are bored out of their minds, and the chance to connect with someone else is valuable right now. So I would suggest virtual coffees do work.
Brilliant. Okay, so I'll give that a go as well then.
Yeah.
I think that was the kind of the main things that I just wanted to cover for you guys.
I'm so grateful that you've given us so much value and points to really think about to kind of open the door for a different conversation. And I think it's phenomenal. And I will link all of your programs to everything you send me. I'll link everything so everyone can go and learn more and get to know you as well.
Brilliant. Yeah, I think the main thing is just feel that you've got something inside you. No matter how at the moment your confidence may be low, you may still be very young as an intern, you might even still be in college, but what is it that you know differently? Your life has had a different story. There is something that you know when you're talking with your friends, they go, that's really helpful, that's really valuable. When you're giving feedback, just the way in which you are as a person gives value. So my goal is to help people bring that out, connect better, be more authentic, build those relationships so they can be successful. And if people can get that, then I'm happy.
I absolutely admire your level of commitment to everyone in your space, and you definitely are an expert and a leader, which is really nice to see.
Brilliant, thank you.
And you are sharing value, and you are authentic, and that's two things that I think represent your brand very well.
Great, thank you so much. Thanks for joining as well.
Thank you. I'm so grateful, and I will link everything to the stories, and then also we'll share the IGTV, and everyone can watch and then share in this process. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.